Hey guys, I'm Tim Lanks with Red Dog Bushcraft, and today another little cooking video. We're going to cook some rabbit out over the campfire. I've got a nice bed of good oak coals going here, and we're going to go ahead. We've got a pot of salted water sitting here. We've got my tri-mix, which is salt, pepper, and garlic, all equal, and 2 nice sized rabbits. Now we're going to throw that same grate up here on the grill that we used when we were cooking those hamburgers, but today we're also going to use this, the squirrel cooker. I think the squirrel cooker will cook a rabbit too, but we're going to find out here in just a minute. We're going to line that up, see if we can't get that on there. There we go. Go ahead and get him lined up. Give him a little sprinkling of the seasoning here. You know, you want to get him coated all over before he gets too hot. Two mistakes I see people make is they only season their meat on one side. And they wait too late in the cooking process to start seasoning everything up. Alright, some of these other pieces, like these leg quarters and these thighs, we're going to go ahead and set right up here. See if we can't go ahead and start getting those cooked up. So I'm going to get all of these on the grill. Get everything fired up, and as we continue, I'll bring you back. Let's take a quick look at what that looks like so far. Move you in here just a little bit. Make sure you get a chance to check out that squirrel cooker setup. And we can see the rabbit there on the grate. A little bit of hot water sitting there. We'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the preparations for this rabbit and what we're going to have to go along with it. Now, last night when these rabbits were butchered, I put them in a salt water brine, and to make that, all I did was I took a pot of water, brought it to a boil, and then I put about 1/4 cup of salt in it. I placed my rabbit inside of a pot, and then after chilling this with ice cubes, because I don't want to cook it, I just want to brine it. Once that liquid was, all the salt was melted and then it had cooled back down, I poured that over top of the rabbit, completely covering it, and put it in the refrigerator. So it's been about 24 hours in the brine. Then I took that, I pulled it off, and when you pour that off, you'll see where it pulls a lot of that blood out of it, but it also flavors and tenderizes that rabbit. Rabbit has a tendency to dry out when you cook it because it doesn't have a lot of fat in it, and you have to be careful with that. A lot of people use fat to baste that with. I'm not going to do that. This is an experiment for camping. I'm not going to have a lot of different fats with me, and I'm going to be limited to the amount that I have. So I want to try this and see how it is if I just cook it and try to be very careful with it and not overcook it, which is another thing you don't want to do with your rabbit. You don't want to overcook it. She will get dry. The flavor is still there, but it's like eating rabbit jerky. And the other thing I'm going to do is I have that pot back there with some salt water that's already up to temperature, and I've got a couple of these heads of broccoli here, and they're nice, and I'm going to leave these whole. I'm not going to cut them up. I'm going to drop them right down into that boiling water and go ahead and cook those. As soon as they turn bright green and they're still crisp before they have time to mush up, I'm going to reach in there and I'm going to pull them out of that water and put them in my pan here. I'm using my pan because I'm outside and I don't have a dish, and I'm not going to have dishes camping, so I'm trying to use the tools that I'm going to have when we're out camping. The other thing we're going to try is this product right here. My wife picked this up at the grocery store, and it's nice because you just add this to 1 1/2 cups of boiling water, and everything that you need to make a nice side is supposed to be in here. So what I'll do is I'll cook my broccoli, I'll pull that water off, leaving about a cup and a half in there, and then dump this in, and I only have to cook it 14 to 18 minutes. So my broccoli can still stay hot, and put a little bit of butter or so on that, season that up. I gotta look out for Hunter, he won't eat it without butter on it. And keep my rabbit pulled off, keeping it nice and warm, and everything should be done with a minimal amount of cookware and relatively same time. And my rabbit's getting a little flame on it, so I gotta run. Be back in a minute and take care of this rabbit. Okay guys, so far here's what we've got, all nice and cooked up. I did go ahead and pull the rabbit off of the squirrel cooker and put it down here on the rack so that you could see me take it off, because I'll admit I was fumbling with it a little bit. It's hot and hard to grip with the grippers, but I wanted you to be able to see me taking it off. So I left this one a little bit more, well, less cooked than I did these pieces, just so I can see the difference between the two. I can always throw it in the oven in the house and see and go ahead and cook it up a little bit more if I need to, but I want to make sure I don't overcook it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cook this broccoli. Sorry about the noise, but like I said, I'm here at the house and people working on boats and getting ready to go out. It's summertime, and you know what? The same laws that let them work on their boats and make noise that aggravates me to death are the same laws that allow me to come out here and build my campfire. So we just have to live together. So I'm going to drop that head in there, and I'm going to take the next one. See if I can't get that down in there too. And I'm just going to place that lid back on there. And I'm going to just let that set for a couple of minutes. I'm going to pull that out. It's only going to take just a little bit. That stem will still be raw, but that top floret will be cooked up. And I want that to be nice and tender, but yet not turn to mush on me. So we're going to leave that in there for just a couple minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have our receiving container for our broccoli and some cubed up butter in there. We're going to go ahead and pull that off. It's probably been, I don't know, a max of 4 minutes. And you can see how that's turned nice and dark green. But I got one spot in the top of that floret that's a little light, where the water wasn't getting to it and it didn't quite steam. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and dump that in upside down for just a second. Now remember, the rest of that is already cooked. So when I say I'm going to leave it in there for just a couple seconds, that's exactly what I mean. It does not take this broccoli long at all. There we go. That finished that process. Leave a little bit of water on there. Turn those upside down on that butter. Swirl them around a little bit. I want those coated real well. Hunter Man likes it like that. The water was already salted, so we're good to go that way. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour off where I only have a cup and a half of water left in the pot, and I'm going to use the Pathfinder cup to do that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add our last side dish. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we'll start out with our quinoa. And I have retained a cup and a half of that boiling water. So we'll take that and transfer it from the cup to the pot. Set that off to the side. And it says to simply add this and then give it a good stir. And in 15 to 18 minutes, we'll be good to go. So we'll get that in there. Grab my tongs here, step in front of the camera, always polite, you know, try to be anyway. So let's give that stir. All right, get that lid back on there. Ooh. Careful, careful. All right. we'll get that right back down on top of the coals, get that back to cooking, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Bait 18. Okay, our time has elapsed and we should be done here, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this off of the fire. Make sure we wrap up our cordage here. And I'll tell you what, we'll just transition inside and plate this up and see what we got. Okay guys, back inside now. Let's see how we did. You know how these cooking videos go. You always got to tease you a little bit. See how it tastes. The rabbit that was cooked on the grate, it seems like it might be just a little bit dry. But not bad at all. It's not dried out like jerky. It's about like, I would say, if you pick up some fried chicken somewhere, it's about like a wing. Still has some moisture inside of it. Beautiful white on the inside. Cooked all the way through. That spice that I put on the outside of it, that salt, pepper, and garlic, that turned out really well. As far as the broccoli, still has that crunch that I like, but definitely cooked. Cooking it into salt water was a good thing, but it could use just a little bit more salt. And my quinoa turned out very well. I'm pleased with it. Hey, thanks for joining me for this video and another dining experience. Until next time, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. God bless.